Okay, I just wanted to take a couple minutes to review a few things. We've had people join our team and a couple things that I wanted to go over one more time, and to then show some changes that have been happening on our website. So whenever we move things around, I worry that people will have a hard time finding it. So I want to make sure that there's no trouble with that. So 2019, we've done some updates. Before I move forward, I want to remind everybody of a couple things. When you're using the Sense website or any of Utah State University's pages, the best at this point browser to use is Google Chrome. It's free. You can download that app. Firefox works okay. Microsoft Edge is moving forward and becoming quite reliable and good. I haven't worked with it, but it's okay. Last resort should be Safari and Internet Explorer. The banner has trouble with that. Aggie Time has trouble with that. So a lot of the pages that the university uses just don't communicate very effectively through Safari and Internet Explorer. So if you have a choice or you have an option, please go with Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox. Next, I wanted to remind you that when you work for FoodSense or Utah State University, there's a few software programs that we expect or anticipate you'll have access to. First would be Microsoft Office, and that is at no cost to you because as an employee with an A number, you can download these software programs and have them on your working computer. And if you work from home, they can be on your home computer if you're using them for work purposes. If it's just your county office, you can have them on there. And I'm happy to help someone find out how to do that, how to download those softwares anytime. But we expect that you have access to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Outlook email, which you get when you get your USU email, and then PowerPoint. So many of our materials are offered in PowerPoint. We also expect that you would have access to Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is also a free downloadable software, and that makes it so you can download posters and flyers and things like that. And then, of course, the video conferencing Zoom app, also free. Are there any questions about how any of these softwares are made available to you? You want to unmute and ask, or you can chat. I'd be happy to look in there. Next, I wanted to remind you, this goes along with having the right software and browsers, that you need to make sure they're up to date. Sometimes people have trouble. I worked for a long time with NCP, and I would often have people calling in and they weren't seeing images, or they couldn't play videos, or they couldn't find questions weren't appearing in their quizzes, and it would literally be because their browser was out of date. Maybe they were using the previous version. Those things just need to be kept up to date. There's no cost to being up to date, and the risk of not having all the tools you need is there. So I'm not really a phenomenal tech guru, but I would be happy to help you if you wanted to call me, if you wanted to find out how to make sure that you had the latest Microsoft software, or to make sure you have the latest Adobe, or to make sure you have the latest browser. Got a picture here, Microsoft Word. You go to Help, and in the drop-down menu, it shows check for updates, and then that'll let you know if you have the latest version or not. Chrome has that feature. Firefox has that feature. All of these things make it so you can make sure that you have the most current software running on your computer. So something that's come up lately, as I've been uploading new flyers and new curriculums and things, that I've had a number of people email or call me and say, when I go in and look at it, the old version is showing up. And even I've had that trouble before. So I just wanted to give you a little insight into how your computer might work. If you go to a web page, it will often, it's called a cache. That means hidden. And a cache means that it hides where you've been, and then when you go back there, it'll reload it really quickly because it remembers where you've been. And this makes it so it's so much faster. When you click on something, it loads up quickly because your computer remembers it. It kind of keeps that page in mind, and then it reloads quickly. But it also means sometimes it will save the images and the download paths, and so when something has been changed, it might keep pulling up the old visual image or the old web page or the old, and it's being stored literally on your computer, so it doesn't out on the web, but so a lot of times people have a hard time seeing the newest, latest, and greatest. So I just wanted to encourage you to frequently refresh your page. And if you do that, if you refresh your browser, then you'll see the most current things on the website. This isn't just for our website, it's in general. So I wanted to show you how to do that. And I found this cheater page. So if you're in Google Chrome, to refresh your page, you can press the control and then the little circle up here, if you see that. So you can press control on that, or what I usually do is press my shift. Oh, well, I'm on Apple, and that's why. Shift and then the refresher. Shift and then the refresh. And that will make sure that I have the very most current version. And I scrolled past it, but if you're on a PC, then it's control and the refresher. That's the quickest way. If you want, you can also do control F5 and that'll refresh the page. So that's for Google Chrome, control and F5, or if you're on a Mac, the picture is control, command, refresh, but what I actually do is shift, shows right here, shift and then the refresh. That's how I do it because it's a little bit quicker. All right, if you're on Google Chrome. If you're in Firefox, to refresh your browser, you would do Control-Shift-R. That's a forced refresh. Or you can hold down Control-Shift, and then, oh, that's what we said. So those are the ones, Control, F5. And I just found this on WikiHow, so after this training, if you can't remember what your trick would be. On a Mac, if you're on Firefox, hold the shift and then press refresh. That's the same for the others. Microsoft Edge. I don't know if anybody's using Microsoft Edge. It was the hot thing for a few minutes, but anyway, these are the ways. Rather than go through all of them, I'll just show you that there's a way to make sure that you're seeing the very most recent page. And if you ever upload something and you recognize it as an older version, maybe you were told there'd be a new flyer out there and you recognize it as the older version, then definitely try to refresh your page before you get concerned. I usually freak out and I'm like, oh, I can refresh my page. But if you're in Safari, this is how you do it. There's the little circle, shift. All right, so hopefully that is something that will help you have the most current versions of everything that we've got on the website. And now are there any questions right now? Okay. I'm going to go to our staff site and just talk about a few of the things. A lot of the changes on the website came about because Marsha and Christy, when they were doing the trainings, in-person trainings last quarter and last year, were saying, oh, there are some ways that we could make the information more easily found and more accessible and more useful to the NEAs. And I really appreciated them and your feedback because we want to make sure that you can find everything you need on the website. So you should recognize this page. This is I call it the virtual filing cabinet. It has a lot of stuff, and that makes it so you have access to everything you could possibly need, but also means there's so much stuff that it's hard to find materials when you're looking for them. So if you ever have any questions, please reach out and I would be happy to help you find something. So one thing we did is we cleaned up the lessons drop-down menu. Now it houses literally only those approved curriculums. These are the curriculums you should be teaching. This is where you should be getting your lesson materials we took everything else out because we don't want there to be temptations to go off on other things. We want you to be following exactly these curriculums. And if you click on this page, this link, it'll take you to the page that has everything that you should need for that class. The curriculum itself, the certificate of completion after somebody's done the series of classes, the Qualtrics link for the t-shirt order, and then all of the handouts that may or may not be part of that lesson, depending on what you're teaching. So, I'm gonna move this because I cannot see my, all right. So then the same is true of the lessons for kids. We've cleaned this up. These are the curriculums that you're supposed to be teaching, the Create My Plate and the Food, Fun, and Reading. And again, if you click on it, it should have everything you need for that particular class. all of the handouts, whichever lesson you're teaching, that, okay? Then this is another place that we made a lot of changes. The supply order form is under NEA resources, so if you need to order something from the state office, this is where you can find the Employee Wellness Challenge, which I think everybody knows where it is because they're entering the data, which is awesome. But this page now houses the additional resources that you might need, and I just want you to glance at this page. I know it's small font, but hopefully these are places for you to find supplemental materials to help with your teaching. But this is where all of the NEA resources are now being housed. And they're in these categories. There's the teaching supplies when you have a class, recipes. These are resources that you can get a whole bunch of recipes for. That's a link. Nutrition education, physical activity, family meal materials, and then we have a couple places where you can get videos if you want to have those playing during or after or before your classes. Okay. All right, so finally, I wanted to go over the marketing page. This also got a little bit of a facelift. What we're trying to do is just make it so it wasn't a free-for-all of materials on that page, but so now you have the Create Better Health. If you're going to be starting a series or you're going to be marketing, need marketing materials, if you go here, this is all of our Create Better Health class marketing supplies. And so if you're going to, if you want to post a place that there's a singular class coming up, this is for one class. If you have lots of classes, or then you can see that it's downloading. And then when you open it up, this is when you edit it. And so if I was going to, I don't know what I did here, sorry. All right, I need to end this, sorry. I don't know how I did that. Oh, because it's in PowerPoint, which is where I already am. I'm gonna close that. Okay, so back to this, sorry about that, I was already in here. So if I open this up, I can edit it. And if you should have the ability to edit these because you have the PowerPoint software on your computer, because that's no cost to download. So I would say Cache County, extension office, might put the street, the street address. It's on Main Street. 123 Main. And then if you didn't want this, maybe you don't think that's necessary. These are highly, highly editable for you. You can't take off the label or the logo, and you can't take off the disclaimers, but all of this is completely up to you. You could say, you know, this class, I don't know, I just want you to make these useful to you in a way that you can advertise exactly what you need. You're free to edit these how you want. And then this place you would type up, you know, say this is a class for blah, 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 where you type what you want in there, and then it could be as long or as short as you want. If you don't feel like you need a description, you can just remove that text box. These are just really available to you to manipulate and to work however you want. And it's supposed to have a good enough description that you know if it's for one class, 2 to 4 classes by date. And then we have a variety of calendars where if you wanted to show, I think the birth of this was for if you were going to drop this off, say at DWS, and you wanted to say there's going to be a class here, here, and then on this day, and then this day. And so you could put a series of classes in one place that would talk about them. This one, maybe this one would be at the Create Better Health, and this one's at the library, or the library. And this one might be a Create Family Meals class. You would type these out, of course, and this one's going to be held at an elementary school. And then you could have this be ready to take somewhere to post where it would tell all the classes that were happening in any area. So you can, or you might do, this is just all a Create Better Health class. And so maybe it would be Create Better Health. This is going to be lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, whatever the names are that you're going to put in there, lesson 5. So you can see in a glance which lessons are happening which day, and just manipulate those to however you want. And then these are the things that Lacey had made. This is the brochure that you can have printed, folded, and set those out at places where you're recruiting, maybe at WIC or DWS or something like that. Or if you realize you'll need a few of those, you can order those from the state office. Okay. So back here, this is where if you ever make, and again, this is all of the materials that you have to recruit for those particular classes. So food, fun, and reading. If you're going to have a food, fun, and reading class, you have these options to edit them in such a way. This one I'll pull up again. So again, and this one's in Word, but you just update this how you want. So you put the place here, the street address. Again, if you don't want to put the city in, then you just take that away. You don't have to follow this exactly as it is. It's just here to help you. And then make sure that you update those things so they're clear for the person that views them. Okay. If in the event you had to make something from scratch or you edit something and you really move it around a lot, you need to always make sure that you have our logos. This link takes you to where our logos are, where you download them and put them in. And then also disclaimers. We always have to say that the material is provided by SNAP Ed funding. We have to mark that down and then include that it's an equal opportunity provider, and then that Utah State University is an equal opportunity employer. Those things are legally required on us from the university and from our grant funding, just so people know where the funds are coming from and the type of institution that we represent. Over here on the marketing tools, if you are making something from scratch or you want to swap out one of the photos in the templates that we've provided, you can go here at any time. These are free ones. This is another link of free images that come from USDA because they realize you need to be creating flyers and recruiting materials. If you ever have to give a presentation to a group of people, this is a blank PowerPoint template. All of these things I'm hoping are clear enough that if you need something like that, you can find it or you can call me before you spend a whole bunch of time creating something yourself. I'm hoping that this saves you time.
Yeah, and can I just add, we really would rather you not be creating new things, just using our template. So if there's something that you see that it keeps coming up that you need that type of flyer or material, please reach out to us and we can help or we can develop something that would be useful for you, because chances are other NDAs probably have the same need.
Absolutely. Yeah, the calendar template came about because Cache County said, we like to drop off one flyer in a couple places that lists all the classes in the county and where they're happening. And so a singular flyer wasn't going to meet that need. And so that's when we got that developed. So if, like Casey's saying, if you consistently need this particular layout for a marketing supply or material, shoot me an email and I'll either help develop it or we'll have Olivia develop it so it can match our materials. We work really hard to make sure our branding is consistent. Utah State University does the same thing. We want to make sure that when somebody glances at a flyer, they already remember, oh, that's the food sense or that's the SNAP Ed education, and then they can get the details. But all of those little visual reminders are really valuable. And they're just beautiful. Olivia is our graphic designer. She makes really pretty supplies, and so we should use what she's made for us. So if you're having trouble downloading and using any of these things, once again, make sure you have the most current software. Make sure you have all of those things that I mentioned in the PowerPoint. You should have the Microsoft Office collection. You should have Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You should have Adobe Reader. None of these things cost money for you or your extension office. There's nothing that we're requiring on your laptop that costs you money. So that shouldn't be an inhibitor to you having these tools available. If you're having trouble, please shoot me an email and I'll help. I want to make sure that your supplies are both easy to get, easy to manipulate, easy to customize, and easy to print and use out. So are there any questions for me on this? You can either chat or we can I'll stop sharing so I'm not. Any questions? Okay. Well, I honestly am trying to make it easier for you to have visual supplies to recruit and to let people know about our program. So if there's anything you need along those lines, please reach out to me and I'll see what I can do to help. I want to make it so your materials are beautiful and also quick and easy. Okay?
Jocelyn,
Yeah.
sorry, I do have a question. I tried to download the Microsoft Office onto our work computer here at our extension office, but they recommended, they have explained that you could only have it work for one A number account. Do you know how it makes it work for all of our A number accounts? Because the computer only recognizes one A number and would have to like log in through one specific A number each time we wanted to use the Microsoft
Oh,
Office.
you mean you downloaded it onto your computer and then when you log in using your A number, that's who gets access to it?
Yes.
Okay. So what you need to do is download the desktop version. So you're not working online. And so if you download the Microsoft 365, it's through your A number, it's through your Outlook, and that means when you're logged in, it's essentially doing everything in the cloud. But maybe on your laptop for the computer, it would only take one of you, could download the Microsoft Office desktop version, and then people could work with that and then use their A number to store it if they needed it in the cloud. Does that make sense?
So does that still require only just one person's A number, or is that then open to everybody?
Once it's on when someone gets on the computer, do they log in as their own? So like when I get on my computer, I have to put in my password, and I can either be me, or it can be the office, or it can be a guest. Is that what you're doing in your office?
Yes. I tried to do it I'm not sure. I'm just not sure who to talk to because the IT person tried to walk me through it, but it like didn't end up working, and so we just didn't end up doing it.
Okay, yeah. So you can have your computer set up so it has different setups for individual users. So if I get on, my information pops up, but if my daughter gets on, her information pops up, or if my husband gets on, his information pops up. But if it's an office computer, it should be more generic, I would hope. It wouldn't be like personal emails and personal accounts, in which case one version of the desktop Microsoft Office should service everybody. So
Okay.
if you're all sharing, is it a laptop or a desktop or?
It's a desktop. And if anything, I can try and download the desktop version again. Maybe I didn't do that, and I could maybe set up a time to meet with you if I can't make it work. But
Okay.
It is a desktop version. It's like it's a PC.
And it stays there in the office?
It stays there,
Do you have like a generic login that everybody can log in on, or does everybody log in with their own? There is a generic one?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one I would download the desktop version for. And yeah, we can talk about it. But yeah, if you have it on the desktop, then anybody can use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. It just won't put it up in the cloud and associated with their A number, just like you're saying. So if they need it stored for personal use, then it'll still just be housed on that computer.
Okay, which IT person did you talk to?
The one up at Utah State.
Okay, we may need to talk to the county IT people to see if there's because I'm not sure if the computer is a county computer or if it's a university computer. So if Terry Baharsa couldn't get it running, maybe I need to talk to the county.
Okay. Yeah, and
here.
I would just
it must be maybe a county.
Yeah, and I would just mention to them that you need the desktop version so everybody can access it without having to log in with their A number.
Yeah, I thought that was already working, so I'll have to find out what's going on. Sorry, I didn't know about this.
No, that's good. And also, if it is on your computer already, just go in and check and make sure it's the latest version, and maybe that'll solve the problem if it's. Yeah, you'll want to have it on there as a desktop app because, are you on a PC or an Apple?
It's a PC.
Okay, and you'll want to make sure that that's on the desktop so everybody has access to the software, and then it wouldn't be an issue of who logs in with which A number or who downloads it. Okay.
It'd be okay. So yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Kaylee.
Yes.
Thank you, Kaylee. And yeah, let me know if I can help. I definitely can put you in contact with IT too, but yeah, we'll get you working because we want you to be able to use those things. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else? It's kind of comical that I'm answering IT questions, but I don't know. I make lots of mistakes, and so I talk to him enough. So. All right. Well, if you have any questions about any of those things, or if you're having difficulty downloading or manipulating or customizing, please don't get discouraged and give up. Just shoot me an email and we'll figure out what the problem is, and we'll make sure that all those supplies are available to everybody. Okay? And if you have any trouble finding anything on the website also, if you're saying, oh, we used to have this form, or oh, I used to use this, or I think this is valuable, shoot me an email and we'll either talk about why it's not available, or I'll tell you where it is. Okay? I'm always looking for feedback. Okay. And that's all for me.
All right, so now we're going to turn it over to Lacey, who has the next part of our training.
With the same PowerPoint.
Because we're all about
we're tech templates, that's right.
Where do I work for? Yeah, who do I work for? It's right there. All right, everyone. I've been asked to share a little information about Create an Active Winter and the development of the campaign. And also I want to share the impacts of some of the things that we found and how it was able to help people this year. And just as a beginning to it, so why are we going to talk about physical activity? Why have a campaign at all? And, you know, very importantly, part of the goal of SNAP Ed is to improve the likelihood that persons eligible for SNAP will choose physically active lifestyles. So we have a two-part goal there, the other part being about nutrition, and physical activity is within the goal as well. And this is from the USDA FNS goal, which we adopt as a SNAP agency here in Utah. And from our needs assessment that we conducted a couple of years ago, we've learned that one of the top results for whether or not people were active in the winter or what they did in the winter was not active. So some went to gyms or community centers, but one of the top three was people just were not active in the winter. And from focus groups, that was a common thing that was repeated, that it was difficult to be active in the winter. And we wanted to address this. And you may remember, those who were here, it would probably have been 2 or 3 annual conferences ago, we had a table session for social marketing, and this was one of the challenges that the NEAs actually came up with, Create an Active Winter, the actual title of the campaign. So kudos to you all who are on that team. And that was the beginning. Following that, we did have a initial run through of materials just on social media to get a feel for what people preferred and what they liked. But since then, we were able to I don't know, as far as target some specific behaviors or barriers that we needed to address or change. And so a big purpose of social marketing is to reduce the burden of change. And from our needs assessment, we learned from focus groups what were some of those burdens. Financial costs, people feel like they can't afford to be active, whether it's because they feel like they need to pay to go to a gym to be physically active. Sometimes that can also mean time, where they don't have time to do that, or as you'll see, the bottom one is lack of childcare, because that would be a cost. Another issue that people felt that they had is also that weather. You know, especially in northern Utah, it can be snowy, icy, cold. Air quality along the Wasatch Front and in Cache Valley is definitely a concern for safety and health issues. And proximity, feeling like they don't have close access to places where they can recreate and be active. Then once again, just that childcare. And we used research to find some ways to address these concerns. 2 sources of that include the Get Healthy Utah Health Value Study. We were able to find some ways to help motivate and encourage people to be active. They found that words that discourage people are emphasizing the word exercise, diet, get moving, obesity, that these sort of phrasings or these sort of words in materials is actually very discouraging to Utahns. And so we tried to avoid those. Something they encouraged was attaching values. The value that we have here has more to do with children, but being able to focus. You know, in some of our marketing, we aligned with, oh, you get to have time with your family by being active, or you get to have time with your friends, or you're going to feel great. Being aware that sometimes time, though not always mentioned, is a barrier for people as well. Another campaign that was that came out in November of this last year was the Move Your Way. It came out the same time as the Health and Human Services recommendations for physical activity. And they also conducted some research to see how to best reach the general public. As far as the word move or get moving, apparently they didn't talk to people in Utah or cross. Is that what that's in there? Yeah. And I was like, So, you know, I did not go that way, but you may notice that we did try to match or reflect some of the imagery in Move Your Way, and that was the material that I suggested that you all use this year, is to align with these great resources that are already available. I think one of the biggest, or two of the biggest takeaways, though, for reducing the burden of change that came from these recommendations and this campaign are, one, that the amount of exercise has changed, as far as there's no minimum amount of, you know, the bout of exercise. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes to be beneficial. It can be any amount of time is beneficial. And so we didn't specify in our campaign, oh, you have to exercise for this long, though there are definitely recommendations that go to the total amount that's recommended, and you teach that in your classes for the whole week. But it's all about getting people to take those first steps to get moving. And then I think the second thing is the idea of your way. It doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be biking. It could be dancing. It could be chasing your children at the playground. There's a lot of different ways to be physically active.
Can I just add, Lacey?
Yeah.
I think it's next month or coming up, we'll have a training on these new physical activity recommendations for everyone. So you'll become more familiar with the changes.
Yep. Yep, you'll get a much longer spiel. This was just for the purposes of promoting it.
Yes, perfect.
Those were the big takeaways that I had in marketing physical activity. So we decided to address each of the barriers, and we kind of went under these 4 main ideas of embracing the season. You know, I think Melanie shared a great quote or ism that it's not the weather, it's the clothes. As long as you're dressed warmly, you can kind of handle nearly anything the weather dishes you. And financial costs. There's a lot of ways to be active, hiking, running through the snow, that doesn't really cost any money. Warming up indoors, you know, once again, that can be free if it's at your home or if you're walking around in a mall. Weather, you won't have to worry about it being cold outside if you're warm indoors. And proximity in your own house. As close as you can get. Make it social, so include your family. That can address childcare. It can also be a sense of motivation and bonding with loved ones or with family and friends as well. And keep it fun. This once again can address the weather, and remember what you enjoy about the winter as far as getting outdoors and playing, as well as motivation. You're much more likely to move if you can move your way and have fun doing it. And something that we're definitely trying to address more as a state office is making sure that our programming is comprehensive. And so in addition to social marketing, these are things that we had going on or will like to have go on in the future to make sure that all areas are supporting the messages. So you all emphasize physical activity in your classes, you use the handouts for direct education. Indirect social media did an excellent job of educating the public about physical activity. We had handouts and flyers that could give out at community events, and there was community challenges that happened in some parts of the state. PSE, this is something we'd like to see a little bit more in the future, although I have to talk to Casey as far as what could happen. Some of those are like big dreams of the gyms are going to let people in for free when they show their EBT card. So good luck. Some are big dreams, but you know, we laugh at that, but there's museums that do that. you know, they're
Really?
museums, they will reduce the cost or make it free for someone if they show their EBT card. And so I was like, oh, maybe on bad air days,
Yeah.
they would do that, and maybe I'd have better luck with community centers. But something that could happen: workplace school wellness policies. So those who are working with the schools, keeping that in mind. Maybe if they're indoors because of bad air, making sure they're in the gym and playing, and less maybe sitting and doing puzzles or reading for recess, making sure they get to be active. Something that came up several times in the needs assessment was an issue, I guess, in just certain communities with light and safety for walking at night or in the evenings even, because in the winter it gets dark so early. People are like, oh, I don't want to go out because it's dark and it's scary. And that would be very helpful. So kind of big dream, big ticket items for PSE, but it could happen.
Never hurts to ask.
It never hurts to ask. Or it just takes, that one place. I think that'd be a great opportunity for maybe some places where you have good relationships with people too. That's we shall see. So here's just a little breadth of all the materials that we made, definitely uniting messaging. I think in the future, some things that we'll want to change and improve on, we'll probably align this and have a little more of some of the colors of Create Better Health in general, having this be a message from the Create Better Health as a general campaign, as well as definitely we need to do a lot more to reach out to some of our minority populations. We definitely tried to have the imaging to do that, but as far as being more culturally relevant or also have more materials in Spanish or other languages is important as well. So our reach, we reached over 200,000 people, and that's individual people. There may be some duplication just comparing, someone may have seen YouTube and Facebook that we weren't able to address as far as in the statistics that I get for them or the data. But over 400,000 impressions over the 2-month period. And I like to really appreciate all of you who helped contribute to this. We definitely had a lot of help from our social media NEAs, all of you in the counties on the ground. And I imagine that I probably missed a lot of the great work you're doing. So I'll have to comb through pairs again to make sure I'm catching all the great things that you did. Impacts, love these. We've had, I think from a survey, someone mentioned that the campaign reminded them to be more active, to get out with their kids. And that's a great thing to have the campaign be a reminder. I will say someone also felt a little guilty by our ads as well, so I'll have to look into that to see how we can avoid that happening. Some things that we could also change in the future, I found, is that there's some people who are either single without children or who are older and their children have grown up that would like some more imagery because they felt like the ads weren't for them because it had an emphasis on people with young children.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's an area for improvement as well. And then we have some really great ones. And what I'd like to note about the green and blue quotes is these are in communities where the NEAs kind of went a little above and beyond, whether it was with a community class that they had for physical activity that they started and they recruited teachers to do fitness classes, or they had a competition going on in the community as well. And so I just wanted to share how, people they're getting up and exercising in the morning, thanks to all the great work that you're doing. Also, I really like, this is from an NEA, and if she wants to say who she is, that's fine. I hadn't asked if I could quote you. But their participant realized what a great positive influence exercises had on all aspects of her life and how simple health changes can be transformative. So I thought that was pretty amazing. We have some recognition from the campaign. A lot of the organization that a lot of the supervisors are a part of, UEA FCS, recognized this campaign for marketing and public relations, as well as the Marketing Packages Awards. And one of those will actually be going to national level for consideration for awards as well. So thank you all for making it so successful and great. And that's it. So are there any questions? Sorry, that was a lot. My computer's actually running out of battery, and so that's part of the haste. But I just wanted to let you all know the thought that goes into creating a campaign. It's not necessarily just me and Olivia hanging out thinking of cute stuff, which is part of the process, but that is guided by a lot of research and theory that's related to health behavior and marketing. So
Cool.
Open it up to, yeah, cool, yes. We're good. I think it was really, really successful. And we could see that as we were applying for the awards, as far as that it was well thought out, very appropriate for our state and the needs that we found here. And there's been some good impacts.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, well, thank you, Lacey and Jocelyn, for our trainings today. Are there any last questions from anybody? For either Lacey or Jocelyn? Nope. All right, well, thank you all for being here today, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.